Well, hello again, friends. This video is technically going to be scheduled a day later than when it normally would have gone up because I figured you guys probably don't need two videos on the same day. Um, but it was for me just a few hours ago this morning when I defrosted this watermelon, which is now very much room temperature um, for the outdoor worms. And it's their normal feeding day. I just didn't get to the hot frog yesterday like I normally do. But you know, that's how life works. And then I was going to feed them right after the urban worm bag feeding, and then life continues. So we're going to feed them while there's still some daylight. I had in my notes to check the tier 3, which we had moved all the way to the bottom because that tier in particular has been starving for about a month now. And so it's about that time that we can start, or we should start checking and see if we need to do some baiting, some rearranging. So let's go look at it. You can look how nice and scrumptious this looks in here. There's definitely still worms in here. More than a few. So I think we're gonna need to work on beating these guys out. Although this does, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I mean, there's some squeaking in the background, but it's a little wetter than I typically prefer for my castings to be. It could just be all the watermelon dripping down from past feedings. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and move this tier off to the side, and I think we're gonna raise it up a little bit. I have a plan. Just as a matter of interest, I thought I'd show you guys the bottom. I did see one worm go in here. I don't know if there's more, but at least oh yeah, there's a guy here. Hello. I'm not super worried about them being in here. It'll be fine. So I went ahead and I moved this tier over here, tier 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through my notes here and see what order the tiers were started in. So let's see. That's like tier 4 was the last, or the original one of the ones that we have started, then tier 2, then tier 1. So 4, 2, 1. So we're gonna probably, I think start rearranging them so that they kind of are in that order. I think is gonna be helpful, at least temporarily. I think we'll see. So I think tier 4, of course, is our current top tier. So I'm just gonna take the cover off and just move it around off screen. I'm just moving some of the worms that are roaming on top of the cover. And I'm gonna just toss them into tier 1. So that, just because that just happens to be the tier that is available here. And then I can cover tier 1 while we're working so nobody gets scared, you know, the little worms, all the weight. You don't want them getting squished either when I put the cover on, which is why I'm removing them. There's more of them up here than normal. Or not than normal, just more than I was expecting. Alright. So, tier 4 is the one I'm going to be moving. It's currently stacked. We're going to move it on top of here, and tier 4 is going to be our new bottom layer. So besides tier 3, which is being starved right now, tier 4 is the next oldest. They've been getting pretty good feedings. So we'll do another feeding or two with them. This week is just going to be more watermelon for them to eat. So I think we're going to put a little bit of bedding in here for them since it's going to be a little bit before I start to starve for them. So I'll put them here. And actually, just pointing this out while we're here, I'm splitting all of this watermelon between 3 tiers essentially. So I'm not putting too much in, because I have been feeding pretty heavily, generally speaking. So, you know, practicing my Zoom feature here. Got some watermelon. And I don't mind that this, oops, that was probably a mistake. Yep, I think that was probably a mistake. It's probably why our stuff is so wet. And Calvary is here to check on the worms. Thanks, boys. I'm gonna go ahead and put some paper towels over these, just to help absorb some of that moisture. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little bit of bedding in. Since, like I said, it's gonna be a little while before we starve these guys. We got the other tier starving right now. So hopefully that will help with some of the moisture. And of course I thought I was recording, but I must have forgot to hit pause it or unpause again. But if you did the run to mess check, it is, or it was a little bit more chunky on the floor than normal, but I think that's because the moisture levels are a little high. So tier 2, I mean, clearly a deficit here where they were fed last. Ooh. Okay. Okay, we got a lot of worms in here. I feel like I almost see a little bit of watermelon right there, but that was also a humongous feeding. So we'll just feed. Okay, we're gonna find a spot to feed. Maybe we'll feed over here. We're gonna feed on the left-hand side this week, because there's not as many worms here. But I think tier 2 is a great tier to start pulling worms out of next time, because there are worms everywhere. 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 That's my song right everywhere. This time, I'm going to go ahead and just put some paper towels that have been pre-used down first as a preventative wet manager, moisture manager. And then, ooh, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's the sound of the dog food coming in. I'm gonna just take, I don't want to put too much in here, and this is really not a lot in general, but there's still just ever such a little amount over here that they're working on from last week, and it's mostly just like the very edge of the skins and rinds. So I just want them to finish up all of this. Wally, that's not your food bowl. Oh, maybe we can see if he does this today. Usually when Wally's, this is Moose's food bowl, and Wally's food bowl starts procking, because they're measured for all of their weights and everything. Yeah. He sticks his little head in there. And sometimes he just stares and does like a little head tilt, but evidently today he's just too hungry. Alright, well, we'll let him keep eating. We'll keep eating our worms. Alright. So the next tier we have is tier 1, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull some more of these worms that I can easily get, that I was worried previously just about the ones on the sides, but then I realized with my plan, tier 1 is now the second from the top tier. So whatever tier I put this back on, the worm's gonna go in there. And since I'm moving tier 4 up to the top so we can get some sun exposure, to help get them moving back to another tier, then I don't want to add worms to it. All right, so they're gonna be there. I'm gonna put the cover on tier 3. Excuse me, I think I said tier 4 a second ago. Tier 3, and then this is tier 1. Oops. Slightly rearranged. There we go. And so my notes say that tier 1 got fed in the front left over here, which is pretty obvious. You can kind of tell it's like higher up here and then it's lower down here. You guys can see. But we'll just make sure that there's no food remaining here. And again, if you guys haven't been checking these out, these updates, this tier is one that's a tier made with just recycled papers and cardboard and stuff. There's no coconut core added, so any of the browns that you're seeing is all castings for the most part. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll just try to find a spot. Oh, that looks like there's a lot there. All right, got a lot of food. All right, well this, ooh, okay, this area looks a little light, so we'll say back left corner gets some food. Actually, we'll go ahead and we'll put the bedding, or we'll just put some paper towels down, you know. Alright, and be mindful of that. Boop. There's not really, so there this piece of paper for scrapping. There's not really a lot of watermelon here, and that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and cover it up anyways. I'm gonna go ahead and add a bit more bedding here, so I don't want to get this area too damp. So we're gonna cover. And there's one thing I learned: you can probably, generally speaking, never have enough bedding. So definitely added a lot of bedding here. We've got some great looking tiers. So that's gonna help round out this tier, fill it in pretty nicely, and then we're gonna go ahead and do our final tier that we already looked at. That's starving. We'll just put them up here. Tier 3. Boop. And I think we're gonna call it for today. Food just steamed and the worms are ready to eat. So for now, I'm just gonna leave, for tonight at least, while the sun's still up, I'm gonna leave this nice and open, and hopefully that will encourage or irritate some of the worms from tier 3 to wiggle their way down to the tier below, if we're lucky. And I'm thinking I'll let these guys kind of just keep working away in here a little bit. We'll keep agitating them and just trying to, you know, use the sun to help move them down. Also, I can tell these are getting a little wet because this is what I just picked up off of the freezer chest where this tier was sitting. So I'll just leave this in here like this. We'll see if anybody congregates around it, but there's definitely higher moisture level in here than there has been in a long time, mostly on account of the watermelon. But I think that by and large, they're doing really good, and we have a lot of worms that we can start shifting out to our urban worm bag. We've been doing it slowly but surely, but I think just continuing to take small amounts so it's not too much of a shock across the board, or if there's a problem we don't lose too many, is the best way to continue. And so that's what I'm going to keep doing. So if you guys want to see more mini splits to go out to the urban worm bag out on my porch, make sure you're subscribed. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Bye, friends.